Welcome to Storytime with Red. Please like this video and subscribe. We're truly grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know in the comments where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. Now, let's begin. The room was dimly lit, the faint glow of my computer screen casting eerie shadows on the walls. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but my mind refused to focus. Weeks had passed in a haze, days blending into nights, each moment heavier than the last. Something wasn't right. It felt like the air before a storm. Thick, suffocating, charged, and uneasy. I couldn't shake it. My stomach churned, as if it knew something I didn't. I tried convincing myself it was just life, the monotony, the grind, but deep down I knew better. Change was coming, and it wasn't going to be kind. 30 years. 30 years of marriage to Rachel. 3 decades of love, laughter, and commitment. But lately, something had shifted. She'd become more affectionate. Almost too much so. Playful in ways that felt rehearsed. Like she was trying to make up for something I couldn't quite put my finger on. And then there was Emily, our daughter. Her silence spoke louder than words. She'd been acting strange, her usual warmth replaced by a quiet tension whenever I entered the room. Last night, I decided to surprise Rachel. I came home early, clutching a bouquet of roses and a bottle of wine, ready to rekindle what I feared was slipping away. But instead of finding her alone, I found Emily sitting at the kitchen table, her hands trembling as she fidgeted with her phone. Her face was pale, her lips pressed tight. When she looked up at me, I knew instantly something was wrong. "Dad," she said, her voice shaky, almost apologetic, "we need to talk." My heart skipped a beat. "Where's your mother?" I asked, forcing my voice to remain steady despite the chaos brewing inside me. Emily hesitated, her eyes welling up. "She's not here," she whispered. Then, after a pause that felt like an eternity, she added, "But, Dad, I think you need to hear this." My blood ran cold. "Mom, she's been seeing someone else." Emily choked out, her voice barely audible. The words hit me like a freight train. I stood frozen as the room spun around me. Rachel, my Rachel, had betrayed me. And now my own daughter was the one delivering the truth I never wanted to hear. The flowers slipped from my grasp, landing with a soft thud, their petals scattering across the floor. My chest tightened. My legs went weak. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my marriage, my family, shattered in an instant. Where is she? I finally managed, my voice cracking. Tears streamed down Emily's face as she whispered, "She's with him. At a restaurant." Rachel and I had built a life together, a solid one, or so I thought. We met in college, 2 wide-eyed kids chasing dreams we didn't fully understand. She was radiant back then, with her fiery red hair and a laugh that could light up even the darkest corners of any room. I fell hard and fast, and when she said yes to marry me, it felt like the universe had aligned perfectly. For 3 decades, we shared everything. Triumphs, failures, quiet mornings sipping coffee, late-night conversations about nothing and everything. Our bond had felt unbreakable. But somewhere along the way, cracks began to form. Tiny fissures I either ignored or failed to notice. Work consumed me. I buried myself in projects, promotions, deadlines. Rachel would joke about how I spent more time in boardrooms than in our bedroom. But beneath her teasing tone was a sadness I dismissed. She stopped asking me to help her hang pictures, to plan vacations. The little things, the touches, the glances, the whispered, "I love yous," they faded until they became ghosts of what once was. I told myself we were fine. People drift apart sometimes, don't they? It's normal. Or so I convinced myself. Then came the changes. Over the past few months, Rachel had transformed into someone unfamiliar yet familiar. Suddenly, she was cooking elaborate dinners, wearing dresses she hadn't touched in years, laughing louder, smiling wider. At first, I thought it was sweet, a second win for us, perhaps. But soon, the gestures felt forced, mechanical, like she was performing a role she didn't fully believe in. Meanwhile, Emily grew quieter, retreating into herself. Her usual chatter dwindled to monotone answers at dinner. She avoided my gaze whenever Rachel entered the room. And then last night, when Emily finally broke the news, the puzzle pieces clicked into place. Rachel wasn't rediscovering herself. She was hiding something. Someone, Mark, a friend of Emily's, she said. The revelation gutted me. Not just because Rachel had betrayed me, but because she had done it under my nose. And worse, she had used our daughter as a shield. Every smile, every touch, every word between us now felt tainted, like shards of glass slicing deeper with each memory. How could she do this? The narrative was carefully woven, implying financial misconduct, inappropriate relationships, and ethical breaches. Whispers turned into rumors, and soon Mark found himself under scrutiny. Rachel, oblivious at first, continued her affair, unaware that the walls were closing in. But as Mark's once flawless reputation began to crumble, his charm faltered. Stress replaced confidence. Paranoia replaced arrogance. He started pulling away, distancing himself from Rachel in an attempt to salvage his own career. The woman who thought she had secured stability in his arms suddenly found herself abandoned, just as she had abandoned me. But I wasn't done. Rachel's world was built on illusions. Her image as a devoted wife, a loving mother, a respected member of our community. It was time to shatter that too. The next move was personal. I gathered every piece of evidence. Screenshots of messages, photos of her secret rendezvous, bank statements showing suspicious transactions. I made sure Emily was safe, keeping her away from the inevitable fallout. Then I exposed Rachel for who she truly was. It started subtly, leaking just enough information to mutual friends to spark curiosity. Then a carefully crafted email sent anonymously to her employer, calling her character into question. Finally, the last blow, a confrontation in front of the very people she sought validation from. There was no screaming, no theatrics. Just cold, undeniable truth laid bare. Rachel's carefully constructed life crumbled in real time. Her friends distanced themselves. Her job security wavered. And the man she had risked everything for was too busy saving himself to offer her a lifeline. For the first time, she felt what I felt. Powerless, betrayed, discarded. And I watched, not with satisfaction, but with certainty, that she would never forget what she had done. Revenge wasn't just about making her pay. It was about balance. And as I walked away from the wreckage she had created, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. Hesitant, but determined. Dad, she began softly, I don't want us to keep hurting. I just want to feel normal again. Her words, so simple, yet profound, struck a chord deep within me. I had spent so much time consumed by vengeance, by the need to see Rachel fall, that I had overlooked the most important thing, Emily's pain, her need for stability, for love. I do too, I admitted, my voice raw with regret. I don't know how to fix everything, but I want to try. She studied me for a moment, then gave a small nod. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a bridge, one I was willing to build, no matter how long it took. The days that followed were slow, tentative steps toward healing. Rachel remained a ghost of the past, her absence both a relief and a reminder of what had been lost. Emily and I began talking more, not about the wreckage left behind, but about the future, her dreams, her fears, the simple things we used to share before bitterness took hold. One afternoon, as we sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon, she reached for my hand. I miss her sometimes, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. I squeezed her hand gently. Me too. And for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to grieve, not just for Rachel, but for the family we had once been, for the love that had withered under the weight of betrayal. But amidst the grief, there was something else. Hope. Hope that even in the wake of destruction, something new could be built. Hope that redemption, however distant, was still within reach.